climate crisis is evident. It is the reality of our time, and the challenges will no doubt reflect in our present challenges and indeed in our near future.
The forecast for the Pacific is expected to be warmer than normal sea surface temperatures throughout this end of the year, but also increase in the size or extent of the warming.
After a 3-year run, La Nina, the cooling weather phenomenon, is ending, and scientists around the world are predicting the onset and development of its hotter counterpart, El Nino, during the summer.
The El Nino is strengthening, is expected to continue right through the hurricane season.
During normal conditions in the Pacific Ocean, trade winds blow west along the equator, taking warm water from South America towards Asia. To replace that warm water, cold water rises from the depths in a process called upwelling. El Nino and La Nina are opposing climate patterns that break these normal conditions, and both can have global impacts on weather.
For example, in the Caribbean here, we have strong wind shear activities, and those wind shear activities suppress tropical storm development. So the wind is going this way, then you have another wind going that way. You don't have the chance for the development of the systems. So you have shearing, and those limit the development of tropical cyclones across the Atlantic during El Nino periods. But on the other hand, we have above normal high ocean temperatures or sea surface temperatures at the surface and also some depth below the water. And that heating of the water provides the energy that the storms need to develop. So you're going to be having those competing systems during the season.
The swing from one to the other typically happens every 3 to 7 years on average. But while it is rare for El Nino events to last longer than a year or so, it is common for La Nina to last for 2 years or more. These two climate patterns tend to develop during the spring, reaching their peak intensity during late autumn or winter, that's November to February, and then weaken during the spring or early summer from March to June.
So with the onset of El Nino, you normally have less rain days. So the amount of rainfall, in fact, will lessen. However, the days that we do have rainfall, whether by a trough or a tropical wave or a tropical storm or hurricane, on those days, you're going to have stronger or rainfall that is greater in intensity and also longer duration.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, scientists can often predict the onset of El Nino and La Nina several months to a year in advance. This is done using modern climate models and observation data from the Tropical Pacific Observing System. These include the use of sensors on satellites, ocean buoys, and radiosondes, which constantly monitor changing conditions in the ocean and atmosphere. Since El Nino and La Nina are naturally occurring climate patterns, their intensity, duration, and onset cannot be influenced. However, the implementation of climate change mitigation measures could be used to lessen these impacts. And as it relates to Jamaica and what we need to know going into the peak of the hurricane season, which will be impacted by the El Nino climate pattern.
Even though you have El Nino, the warming, those two factors will allow for a near normal hurricane season. So that is what we're expecting in terms of the effect of El Nino, and in addition, the warm sea surface temperatures. So they will be competing, and as we go forward, it is whichever one is dominant that will determine the number of systems that we have for the hurricane season.
So, how do government and individuals prepare for the season?
In terms of preparation and government, Let's start with the Met Service. So the Met Service is fully staffed and is able to provide the hurricane warnings and bulletins that is required during the passage of a hurricane season. We also have trained meteorologists. We also partner with the ODPEM, the Ministry of Local Government and the National Work Agencies, members of Parliament. All these entities come together to clean the drains, to provide shelter in terms of during the passage of a hurricane, and therefore a number of entities come into play and provide the support that is required during a hurricane season. So as an individual, my message is always be prepared during the hurricane season.